square and using the formula to solve quadratic equations. So to understand completing square, we first have to know how to expand a perfect square. So hopefully you remember, so when you expand that, if I write a plus b all square, that equals to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That's the formula we're going to use to expand a perfect square. So for this one, you write x squared plus 2 times 3 times x plus 3 squared, right? Page 13? Okay. So we use this perfect square formula to expand this perfect square, which means that that could be simplified to x squared plus 6x plus 9. Any question on expanding? And today we're going to go reverse. So given this expression, what needs to be added in order for this to be a perfect square? 9, as you see above. So if it's x squared plus 6x plus 9, it becomes x plus 3 all square, right? So you have to add 9 in order to become this. Yeah. See. Yeah. Okay, next one. Expand the next one. Same rule, except there's a one with the minus. All square is x squared minus 2ab excuse me, plus b squared. Alright, yeah? So the one with the minus, so if you expand the x minus 4 all square, you're going to write x squared minus, you double the 4 which becomes 8x, and then square the 4 which becomes 16. Got it? So we're going to write this is 4 squared, this is double the 4. Alright, any question? So now clearly this part is identical to this part. So what's missing for it to be a perfect square? 16, isn't it? And that becomes x minus 4 all square. Alright, so now we expanded both of these. Now we have to go reverse. We have to do A, B, and C. Let's see how these work. So now we have to find the missing term. There's no clue given. So let's see if there's any connection we can make between the 9 here and the 6. What's the connection here? Well, the connection is that you halve the 6, which is 3, isn't it? You halve it. And how do I get the 9 from the 3? You square. Yes? So we have to find half of 10. What's half of 10? 5 square. So we add the 5 square. That will make it a perfect square. So that means you write x plus 5. Does that make sense? So if you expand this, you get this, right? Because you get x squared plus 10x plus 5 squared using the formula. Alright, so remember half first, then square. How about the next one? What do we half first? The 14, right? So half the 14, which is 7, but you don't write 7, you don't write minus 7, you just write 7. The minus is not used, right? So you write 7 square, and then you write x minus 7 all square. Okay, so if I expand this, I should get this. Right, next one more. What should we be adding this time? Half of 9, so we'll leave it as a fraction. 9 over 2, you halve it, but you square it. Right? So you write x minus 9 over 2 is this. 9 over 2. So you just have to copy what's in here, over here, right? Just copy. And of course, if it's a minus, you write a minus. If it's a plus, you write a plus. Alright, so that's how we complete the square. We're going to do some questions and apply them to quadratic equations. Okay, so we're going to do some question before we start. So we're going to do 5 of these questions, okay? All right, let's do them. Okay, the first one. Now, how do I solve this? We square root, because that's already a perfect square. We can square root this, like that. And plus or minus, whenever you square root, so it's plus or minus 3. All right, how about the next one? You do the same thing. You just write 3x minus 3 equals square root 16 with the plus or minus. Yep. So whenever it's a perfect square like this, something square equal to a number, you can just square root the number, right? And you just have to simplify. You write 2x minus 3 equal to plus or minus 4. So now you have to find x, which means you have to solve an equation. Now how do you solve it? You just add 3 to the other side, so 2x equal to plus or minus 4 plus 3, and then divided by 2. Still with the plus or minus 4 in front. And then what do we do with the plus or minus? The plus or minus indicate there are 2 different answers. The first answer will be just 4 plus 3 divided by 2. The second answer will be negative 4 plus 3 divided by 2. That's what the plus or minus mean. There are 2 different cases. And then 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 over 2, or you just leave it as a fraction, so write 7 over 2. Yep. And the other one, you get negative 4 plus 3, which is negative 1 over 2. So we've got both. Okay, question. So it can get a bit harder. Yep. All good? Yep. All right, now what happened? It is not a perfect square. See, that's a square, but there's an x there, so we have to complete the square. So this is what we have to do now. We have to complete the square and turn it into this. Okay, how do I turn it into this? Well, let's try. So what you do is, the instructions state clearly that the first step is to move all the x term on the left, which we have here, but then the constant term needs to be moved to the right. So let's do that. So we're going to go, let's move the constant term, which is negative 9, to the right. So write x squared plus 8x. I'm going to leave a gap there, right, equal to 9, because we're going to complete the square. Right, I move the 9 to the other side, the negative 9. So that's your first step. Have all the x and x squared term on the left, leave a gap, and then have the 9 on the right. Now, what do we have to add again to complete the square? What do we have to add? The half of 8. What's half of 4? 8? 4, right? Plus 4 squared to both sides. Because it's an equation, whatever I add on the left, I must add on the right. Okay, ready? Now, why do I add a 4 squared? Because it becomes a perfect square. And what's inside the perfect square? X plus 4. That's it. On the right side, you do have to calculate what 4 squared is and add that to the 9. What's 4 squared plus 9? 25, isn't it? And now it becomes this, isn't it? So now you just have to square root to find your answer. Remember, you must put plus and minus in front. So x plus 4 equal to plus and minus 5. And then finally we get x equal to plus and minus 5 minus 4. And which means that the answer could be either 5 minus 4, which is 1, or negative 5 minus 4, which is negative 9. So this is completing the square, which is a quite long compared to factorization, because factorization will be quicker. But if the question says complete the square, you do have to use this method to solve. All right, then we're almost done. Any question? Right, we'll do 2 more. The next one. Let's do this one. Okay, again, the instruction says that all the polynomial needs to be on the left. So write negative 3x plus a gap, which you're going to fill later, equal to 8. So what would it be? What number should we add? What number should we add? It's, 3 over 2, and you square it. Do not write 1.5, we need it to be in a fraction. Okay? Need it to be in a fraction. You will see why later on. Okay, so we add 3 over 2 and then square, and then add the same thing on both sides, and then write that as a perfect square. Okay, what goes inside the bracket? It's the y and the minus, because there's a minus sign, and whatever that is, you write 3 over 2. Right? So we have completed the square because that's a perfect square now, right? That's just a square term. And then on the right side, we do have to work out what it is. We can use the calculator to assist us. So use your calculator to write 8 plus bracket 3 over 2 close bracket over 2 and then close bracket. Make sure you put a bracket before you put square, because you don't want to square the whole fraction. 41 over 4. Like that. Now, why do we do this? So we can square root it. Remember, do not write in decimal, write in fraction. There's a good reason why, you will see in a minute. So if I write it in fraction, I could square root this. I could just split it into 2 parts, plus and minus, right? I could square root the 4 separately. So the square root of 4 is just 2. Just write plus and minus root 41, which is over 2. And then what we do is we're going to move the 3 over 2 to the other side, which is 3 over 2 here. Plus and minus root 41 over 2. So it can get a bit more complicated, because this one is not a perfect square. You end up with a fraction, with a surd form. So you have to be able to express this in surd form. And because they have the same denominator, we're going to write them as a common denominator. Like that. Any question? The next question is identical, very similar. Alright, good. So now we're going to do the next one when you're ready. Okay, have a try. Next one, a little bit harder. It's non-monic. So I'm going to show you how it works for non-monic. It's exactly the same. Alright, let's start with the non-monic. So you first have to divide everything by 3 to get rid of the number 3. Otherwise, the completing square doesn't work. Divide by 3 first. That's the first step. So make it a monic. But you will get a lot of fractions. That's okay. We can fix that easily. We can still use completing square method. Alright, so move the constant term to the right. And remember what to add. We have to add half of the coefficient of u. What's half of that? You can just ask your calculator that question. 8 divided by 3, half it divided by 2. Alright, 4 over 3. Remember, improper fraction. And you square it. And then you go plus 4 over 3, square it. And now it becomes a perfect square. It becomes, all you have to do is write, copy down the u, the minus, and the 4 over 3 square. Equal, use your calculator to work out on the right side, you square that answer, square it, minus 2 over 3. You'll get another fraction, 10 over 9. Like this. And the rest of the steps should be quite easy. Okay, so you square root, and remember every time you square root, you have to put plus or minus in front over square root of 9. Do them separately. Usually you can square root the denominator, which is 3. Plus or minus root 10 over 3. Yep. And then what you do is you're going to add this 4 over 3 to the other side. So you get u equal to 4 over 3 plus or minus root 10 over 3. And then you can combine it into one fraction. Alright, that's completing square. Any question? You should be able to do the whole exercise. So completing square is long, but it always works, isn't it? You just follow that procedure, you will get something. Alright? All good? Let's move on to the next page. Next one is to use the formula. I think formula will be easier. And that formula is on the formula sheet, which reminds me, I'll give you the formula sheet today. But I've got it over here. Alright, that's the formula sheet we'll get. So there's a quadratic equation. Right? That's the Board of Study formula. That's the NESA formula sheet. Like this, that's turning into a full page, like that. Formula sheet. Yep, like that. And you'll get it soon. Actually, this one. It's on the second page. Alright? This one. Okay, good. Alright, so it's on the formula sheet, but if you remember, that will be better. Let's go back to the next page. So we're going to use the formula. It's something you learned in year 10. So, yeah, okay, it's not hard to remember. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay. Alright, we're going to use that formula to solve. Let's do the first one. So, your first step maybe is to write them all down. Maybe write down what a is, which is 1, b is negative 1, c is negative 6. And then you write x equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Right? And then we'll just substitute. And that formula works every time. So you just go negative 1 plus or minus negative 1 squared minus 4ac all over 2 times 1. So set it out like that before you do it, which now becomes positive 1 plus or minus 1 double minus is plus is 24 over 2. And then we can write square root of 25. 25, and square root of 25 is 5. Right? Which means that your answer will be 1 plus 5 or 1 minus 5. 2 different answers. And the 1 plus 5 is 6 over 2, which is 3. The other one's negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. Any question? Again, factorization will be quicker than using the formula. All good? Try the next one. Use the formula. It's pretty easy. Have a try. Try the next one. I'll pause the video. I'll walk around. Alright, let's continue. So, that one. So, make sure you move the 1 over. 5x squared minus 3x minus 1 is 0. And use the quadratic formula. So, you get positive 3 plus or minus 3 squared minus 4ac over 2 times 5. Right? Minus 3 squared is 9. So, you get 3 plus or minus 9 plus 20 over 10. And then if you simplify that, that will be 3 plus or minus root 29 over 10. So it's in exact form. And so this is called the exact form. And if they wanted to find your answer correct to 2 decimal places, then you have to use your calculator to do that. So you go type this in, fraction first, 3 plus root 29 over 10. That gives you 0.84. The x is 0.84 approximately. Or the other one is just have to change that to the minus. minus negative 0.23, negative 0.24 as well. Alright, any questions? Try the last one. Okay, try the last one. Alright, let's do that one. So we go 9x squared minus 6x plus 2, x is 6 plus or minus 36 minus 4ac. Actually, let's write negative 6 squared. Okay, over 2 times 9. Yeah. And then you get 36 minus 72 over 18. And then you end up getting a square root of negative number. And square root of the negative number is not allowed. So we say no solution because you cannot square root a negative. No solution. Alright, that's done. So now we know some quadratic equations have got no solution. Some have 2 solutions. Some could have 1 solution. Okay. Write it down. We've got one more page. Then we're done. Alright, finish. Alright, now we're going to mix them all up and then think about what's the best method to solve a quadratic. Okay, so now you know there are 3 ways: the factorization, the completing square, and the formula. They all have their merits, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. We're going to see which one's the best one. Okay. Alright, let's look at the first one. The first one is best to be done not by factorizing, but instead it's a perfect square. So what you do is just move the 25 over and square root. If you're going to expand and factorize, that will take too long. It's better you move the 25 over and just square root plus or minus 5. X equals to negative 4 plus 5 or negative 4 minus 5, which is 1 or negative 9, right? So that's the easiest way, just to square root. Okay, done. Alright, how about the next one? It's already factorized for you, and make sure the right side is 0. That means you write x plus 2 equal to 0 or x minus 3 is 0, right? Again, no, expansion is not necessary, right? Easy. How about the next one? Well, the next one is, the easiest way is to factorize because there is a common factor. That's the quickest way. If you use the completing square or the formula, it's actually longer. So better use that way. So you write x is 0 or negative 5. Alright, any question? Right, pretty good. So we can see, yep. Yes, yeah. Factorization comes under solving quadratic equation using factorization. Yeah. Alright, next one. Next one is try to move all terms to one side because I think this you can factorize. Right? If it's something it's easy to factorize, factorize it because factorization will be the quickest. Right? So if you can factorize, which you get 4 or negative 2. Or if it's the next one, non-monic, what we have a experience in non-monic is that they're usually quite long to factorize. And then you just use the formula. So if something takes long to factorize or you're not confident, use formula. But if you think you can factorize it, factorize. Otherwise, use the formula. So you go x equal to 7 plus or minus negative 7 squared minus 4ac. So you don't have to factorize it. But if you are factorizing this, feel free to use factorization because I think it's faster that way. But otherwise, use the formula. So it goes 7 plus or minus 49 minus 16 times 2 is 32. So you end up, oh, actually you can't factorize. Yeah, you can't factorize anyway. So it looks like you can't factorize, so you have to use the formula. 49 minus 32 is 17. You can't. Yeah, I thought I can, but you can't. Yeah. Because you won't be able to factorize if your answer is a third, right? You can factorize if the answer is not a third, then you can factorize. Okay? Okay, good. All right, next one. How about this one? Can this be factorized? Multiply to get 7, add to get negative 2? Probably not, yeah? Because both numbers have to be negative, right? If you try all the possibilities, there's only one possibility, and that doesn't add up to negative 2. So you can't factorize. So you have two options, completing square or use the formula. Now, in this case, completing square will be quicker because this is even. This is even. If it's even, it's faster with completing square. You'll see in a minute. Let's try. So you just write x squared minus 2x equal to negative 7. And what do we have to add? Plus 1 to both sides, right? Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared to both sides. Yes? And immediately that becomes a perfect square. Equals to negative 6. Yeah. Can you see it's shorter than the formula? Because when it's even, there's no fraction involved. So it's shorter than the formula. But there's a problem there. I cannot square root negative, right? And what can you conclude immediately? There is no solution. So remember, when the coefficient of x is even, if that's even, you can use the completing square. It can be very quick. All right, we've got 4 more to do, 3 more to do, then we're done. All right, let's continue. Yeah, still have ages. Yeah, good. Very good. Now you think about other days' timetable. All right, okay. Now, what if there are fractions? What do? Get rid of the denominator. So you get a squared plus 10. The a get cancelled. Equal to 7a. Move it to the left and check whether you can factorize. If you can, it will be the fastest way. Can we factorize? You just have to check a few factors. Yes, good. What are the numbers that work? Minus 2, minus 5. Well done, good. And straight away, you can write down a is 2 or 5, right? Factorization will be your quickest. All right, any questions? How about the next one? Let's look at it very carefully. The next one. Now that looks very similar to which equation that we just did? This one here. Which one does it look like? Look like B, isn't it? Now notice B is done so quickly because it's equal to 0, right? We can use the null factor law. But this one, I can't use the null factor law because it's not 0. So what do? We have to do the long way. So we can't use the null factor law on that. We have to expand this. So write x squared minus 6 is equal to negative 4. Right? Can't use null factor law yet because that's not 0. And then move the negative 4 to the left, so you get negative x minus 2. Then you factorize, equal to 0. Yeah? So what do we get? Times to get negative 2, add to get negative 1. That will be x minus 2, x plus 1. Therefore, x is 2 or negative 1. Okay. Right. One more question. That can be done in two ways. Method 1, you can factorize because that's a difference of two squares equal to 0. Or the other way is to just move the 16 to the other side. Right? So in that case, both ways are quite quick, I think. You get this. Or you can do method 2, just square root plus or minus. That's why you see the plus or minus. So both ways are fine. Any questions? So now you know which is the best way. Right? Formulas are very important when you can't factorize or for non-monic. If it's easy, if it's monic, try to use factorization because it's the fastest. But if you can't factorize, you still have to use the formula. And if the coefficient of x is even, you can use the competing square. All done. So next lesson we'll continue. Okay, we'll do quadratic inequality. All right, so do two exercises, I think 3.8 and 3.9 today. All right, please do them. Do 5 or 10 questions from each exercise, then you're done. Okay, start now. Thank you.